So this has become one of my favorite pieces of tech to film all of my YouTube videos. I know if you're starting YouTube, you probably consider getting a camera first, but I would argue get a mic first, and this might be your best choice. Alright, so this is the Sennheise Profile Wireless 2 mic set. And if you have watched all of my videos previously, be it for bags, camera tech, or in this case microphones, you might know I'm not a big fan of just telling you all of the tech specs. From my personal perspective, I would say if you want to know all of the tech details, go to the product page. There you can basically read all of those features and basically read all about the positive things. So I want to give you my personal experience with this Sennheise Profile Wireless set from a filmmaker's and YouTuber's perspective, but more importantly, I want to give you the negatives and the pros and why I consider this one of my favorite pieces of tech and why I think you should consider this mic setup maybe if you also want to start YouTube. And before we start, I also want to say that with all of my reviews, I like to nitpick because I believe that even if some of the negatives might not apply to you, these negatives, these downsides, these flaws will help you to better evaluate if those flaws, those negatives apply to your use case or not, or if they are, maybe you can live or work around those flaws. So I feel like even if they're nitpicky, I want to give you all of the negatives. Now, let's start with the negatives of the Profile Wireless 2. In this charging brick, you have the receiver that is now connected to my Fuji X-M5, two wireless lav mic sets, then on the outside the magnets and not the cable or the wind muffs. That is basically the first thing that you need to keep in mind, because when you see this, you think, oh, that's so cool. I can use the charging brick and just carry this with me. No, you actually have a separate case where you have the cable and the wind muffs, which you can actually lose, just like also these magnets that most of these lav mic sets have now. They have these magnets that you put underneath your shirt, and then you can attach the lav mics here if you don't want to use the internal clips that you can put here on your collar. Those are all small items that you potentially can lose. So you need to really keep that in mind. But I feel like that is fair game because most of these sets, yeah, they always have small little tidbits that you need to carry in some separate cases. So it is really cool that at least the receiver and the transmitters are in this charging case. But to be fair, with other systems, they have charging cases as well. Next up, because you can store the receiver inside this little charging brick to make it compact and to fit inside, you actually don't have the hot shoe / cold shoe adapter attached to the receiver. More importantly, you can actually use this attachment point for the hot shoe mount also for a Lightning and USB-C connector. So basically you can connect the receiver directly to your phone. While that is a really cool idea and all of the attachments are somewhere stored inside here, that attachment point on a receiver isn't that strong. So if you put that receiver with that cold shoe mount to your hot shoe or cold shoe adapter on your cage or on your camera and you want to remove it, there is a very, very high likeliness that you just pull out the receiver, but that small little cold shoe adapter stays in your hot shoe of your camera or in the cold shoe of your rig. That is not a big deal, but you can accidentally forget that it's inside. So for example, you want to unbuild your whole camera rig because you move from location to location, and then you forget or miss that the little adapter is still in the hot shoe of your camera. And there is a potential that you maybe bump against it and lose it if you move from one location to the next. So definitely keep that in mind and be careful not to lose that little adapter. More importantly, that hot shoe / cold shoe adapter doesn't have like a tightening ring. So if you have a small rig cage like I do on the X-M5 that has a cold shoe adapter without friction or a stopping mechanism, your hot shoe adapter and maybe I should put a counter in here how many times I said hot shoe or cold shoe. That adapter on the receiver just lays in that small rig cage and it can fold off. So it would have been great if there would be a tightening ring or something to kind of hold that receiver in place if it's inside the cold shoe adapter. So yeah, that is definitely a downside and something to keep in mind if you want to attach it to a small rig camera cage. Next up, and this is a very important thing, the DJI Mic 2 had from the beginning internal 32-bit float recording. And from what I can tell, and that is something that I also read in other reviews, the DJI Mic 2 was already included with the 32-bit float recording, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is also some hardware thing, because the Sennheise Profile Wireless set, when it came out, did not have 32-bit float recording. Then there was a firmware update and they included 32-bit float recording. But when I updated to that firmware, there was some weird issue with the 32-bit float recording where I recorded files and everything sounded like a Mickey Mouse voice. And I contacted Sennheise and they told me, oh, we have a new firmware update, and I updated that. That resolved that issue. However, I do feel that the quality, and that is perceived, I have no scientific way of testing that. From my perception, the 32-bit float recording on a Sennheiser isn't that great like on the DJI Mic 2. So I assume, I don't have technical proof for this. I assume that the Sennheiser Profile Wireless only kind of create, in air quotes, I don't have a better way to describe it, the 32-bit float via software. While I assume that the DJI Mic 2 actually does it somewhat hardware based, but I don't know. I have no really tech knowledge about that. All I can say is that I feel that the 32-bit float recording inside this isn't the same quality as the 32-bit float recording in the DJI Mic 2 set. That being said, you do have a couple of different recordings in this mic setup. And this brings me to the positives of this setup. And there are a lot, and probably why I love this. Starting with the recording modes. As I said, or as the name implies, this has two wireless lav mics inside this little charging brick. So you can connect two lav mics to basically two persons if you want to do an interview, for example. And you can basically set the receiver to three different modes. Stereo, which means that each of these receivers go to the left or to the right. So you have a lot of flexibility when you're in the editing to kind of adjust the volume. Then you have mono if you want to have a very fast and streamlined workflow, which means both signals go to the left and the right of the recording and stay the same. Or you have the safety track, and this is important depending on if you use one or two mics. If you use one, then basically on the left track it will record in the gain setting that you specified, and on the right track it records a safety track that is, if I'm not completely mistaken, minus 6 dBs lower. So you always, if you ever get into a situation where you accidentally clip your audio, then you have a safety track on the right channel that is 6 dBs lower. If you connect two mic sets, then it kind of acts as a mono recording with a safety track. So on the left side, you have both lav mics in a gain setting that you specified specifically for each of these two lav mics. And on the right track, you basically have the safety track of both of these lav mics 6 dBs lower. So you have a lot of flexibility to set up your mic setup for any situation just to be safe. So that is a really cool feature by itself. The next thing is, this is a charging brick that has, as I've said, not all of the items that you need, most of the items that you need to kind of use this. Not the cable and not the wind muffs. But as you can see here, you have a wind muff on top, to which I will get in a second. Everything is inside here and is always ready and fully charged. I really like this and this mechanism to kind of push the button and then one of the things goes out is amazing. Then once you get everything inside, there is a button that you can press and hold and all of the devices turn off. That is a really cool feature, but most of these lav mic sets have a similar feature. I do feel this just looks better. And this is the most important thing why this is so much fun. You can use this in reporter mode. With all of the other mic sets, you have the regular or normal charging case where you put all of those things inside, and it's basically a very rectangular square. This is rectangular too, but a box basically that you can easily put in your backpack. This has like a longish rectangular shape, which then transforms this in this reporter style mic set with this wind muff on top, where underneath the two lav mics are hidden. And I love this. For those of you who don't know, I do have a daily vlog channel at -TWO, so -2, and I do daily vlogs, and with daily vlogging or with content creation in general, and you probably have seen so many of your favorite creators holding a lav mic in their hands while they're talking, and you think to yourself, that's a lav mic. Why doesn't that person put that on the collar like it's supposed to be? The reason being is it is so much easier to talk to the camera when you're holding something in your hand. It feels much more liberating. It feels easier to talk to you when you have something in your hand. And because you can basically see so many people holding the lav mic, or I've seen someone putting a lav mic on a cooking stick or on chopsticks, which is fun, don't get me wrong. It's probably more fun than this, but this being able to transform in this reporter style mode is so liberating, and it makes using this so much fun. It is so much easier to talk to a camera when you're holding something, and this already inviting you basically to use it this way makes this so enjoyable to use, and is probably one of the biggest reasons why I recommend this setup to most of you, especially if you're starting out to create a YouTube channel, because this invites you to hold it like this. It is much more easier. And yes, you can, if you don't like this, you can obviously still unplug the lav mics, put them on your collar, or use the magnets and put them in the correct way. So lav mics, usually the correct way is right here on your chest. There you will get the best kind of sound quality instead of when it's here on your collar. I know that is the easiest place to put it, but there is the likeliness that it can get kind of muffled when it's close to your neck. So the best place actually for a lav mic is here on your chest, which is why they include the magnets. But this is so much more enjoyable to use, and that is why I love this. And also for professional work. Imagine you're running, for example, at Comic-Con or at NAB. You can actually, if you are the reporter and you have a camera person recording you, you can put one lav mic here on your collar and then hold the second one, this reporter style. And if you're interviewing someone, you can basically go like this, right? So that is amazing. I love this feature. The only thing that I don't like, one more negative, this is really way too big. This logo, the Sennheise logo, I will put my sticker on here, but I wanted to keep it that way for this review so you can see how, somewhat obnoxious this logo is, how big it is, but I can see they want to kind of promote their product, right? But I feel like this is way too big. So that is one of the biggest reasons why I kind of enjoy this mic and I would recommend it. Next up, and I mean, you've heard it all the way during this recording, this is the audio quality. Obviously, I put some compressor and some EQing on there. Let me switch off all of the post-processing. And now you basically hear what the mic sounds without any editing. And I feel like this sounds so good, even without editing. Now, switching on all of my EQing and compressor again, and you can hear, I feel like this is the best sounding mic in my arsenal. I have the Rode Link, I have the Rode Wireless, I have the DJI Mic 2, which I have been using a lot over the last few months, and I still use a lot on my daily vlogging channel. And I use this also on my daily vlogging channel. And whenever I switch between these two mics, I feel like this sounds so much better, a little bit warmer, a little bit more fuller. Yes, I am holding it right now here, but even if I'm not holding it, or if I, for example, sometimes I hold the DJI Mic 2 also close to this, then I feel like this sounds so much better. Let me just edit in a quick little example between the Mic 2 and this Sennheiser Profile, so you can kind of hear what they sound like in comparison. Alright, so now we go into the audio test. On the Fuji X-M5 I connected the Sennheiser Profile Wireless setup, and on this camera down below I have the DJI Pocket 3 with the DJI Mic 2. I will obviously kind of superimpose which mic you are hearing, but due to the cameras and the camera position you will also know this is the Sennheiser Profile Wireless set and this is the DJI Mic 2 on the DJI Pocket. And for this showcase I will read the description of an audiobook that I'm currently reading. It is from Dennis E. Taylor and the book is called Flybot. I probably will do a review about that audiobook on my daily vlogging channel. So yeah, let me just read the description. Mysterious tech, devious AI, and a couple of scientists in over their heads collide in the latest sci-fi adventure from the #1 best-selling author of the Bobbyverse series. Physicist Philip Murray is having a good day. He's chipping away at his big work project. The lunch in the cafeteria is at least edible, and he's looking forward to his end-of-the-day drink and soak in the hot tub. Then a strange device turns up in his office, a piece of technology he has never seen before and shouldn't even exist. Suddenly, corpses start turning up, eco-activists go on the attack, random people suffer bizarre symptoms. And every time the authorities get a lead, it traces right back to Philip and his colleague Celia Hunt. Then, a mysterious caller contacts Philip and suddenly staying out of jail is the very least of his problems. Apparently, that hot tub is going to have to wait. Alright, so that was my short little comparison between these two mics. Alright, so that is the comparison. What do you think? Me personally, I think the Sennheiser ones sounds miles better than the DJI Mic 2. Don't get me wrong, the DJI Mic 2, especially in combination with the Pocket 3, is amazing. It's a really great system. I love that I can utilize it without having to attach the receiver with all of the cables and stuff like that. But the sound quality is, in my humble opinion, on this one, the Sennheiser, so much better. Again, DJI Mic 2, great. This, much better. So those were all of the positives and all of the negatives. As you can tell, while there are negatives with this mic set, I feel like all of the positives completely outweigh the negatives and blow all of those negatives out of the water. And again, for me, this is one of my most fun tech items. And probably it sounds weird that this is a fun item, but during the recording, holding this like this, I know I can do that with all of the other mics as well, but this kind of introduced me to this holding this mic reporter style, makes recording, especially my daily vlogs, so much more enjoyable. Next up, the audio quality. Once I put all of those files into my editing software and I listen to them and they sound already great without any of my post-processing, but once I put my EQs and stuff on there, it sounds so great. It makes editing so much more enjoyable if you don't have to worry about the sound. Even if I clip one of the tracks, I have the safety track, and that makes editing so much more enjoyable. And I've always said this in my daily vlogs. The audio quality with all of these videos is so much more important than video, because you are more likely to switch off a video that is shot with a red camera if the sound is terrible. But if it's shot with an iPhone but the sound is good, you're more likely to continue watching that video. So from my personal perspective, a phone nowadays is so good in terms of video quality. So if you're starting out, I feel like investing in a good mic like the wireless from Sennheiser is a much better choice to start out, instead of going with a bigger camera that potentially might not be as useful if you start out YouTube and you think like, oh, YouTube isn't for me, and then you have an expensive camera. With this, actually, this is multi-purpose, because if you potentially don't think, oh, this filmmaking thing isn't for me or YouTube isn't for me, you can actually use this for business as well. This is a great solution if you connect it to your computer and you have a lot of Teams calls. This is great. Your audio quality will sound so much better than your headset when you're doing meetings. And again, sound quality is one of the most important parts, be it on a call, be it when making YouTube videos or whatever. I think this is a great solution and is a great investment for you to start out. Again, I love this. This is one of my favorite small little tools for YouTube, for filmmaking. Highly recommend this mic. Let me know in the comment section below, how did you like the sound quality compared to the DJI Mic 2? Comment below. And if you consider getting this, there will be an affiliate link in the description below. With those you won't pay more, but you will support this channel with a small kickback of that sale. And if you do so to support this channel, thank you very much. And if you want to potentially see my camera bag and what I carry in my camera bag, check out the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. Don't forget to like and maybe also hype this video, because I just learned that liking a video helps a lot with the algorithm. Then please like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video and maybe help me to get to 70,000 subscribers. I see you in the next video. Thank you very much.